In what capacity do you think, well, obviously Bradley Manning came to you with this information in confidence, I believe. It seems logical anyway. In what capacity do you think he felt that he could tell you these things in confidence? Did he feel that he was speaking to a journalist? Or why do you think he didn't know you, right? So why do you think he trusted you? And what do you feel about your actions in respect to betraying that trust?
Well, as I allocated just now, I feel that in terms of betraying his trust, I was a bad friend. I think that he approached me as a friend, and
not as a journalist.
Absolutely not. And
did you make that clear to him that you were not? He was not speaking to you like as a source to a journalist?
Without going into personal details about Mr. Manning, he spoke to me about a broad variety of things that were intensely personal to him, most of which I haven't made public because they served no public interest. They were about his personal life, about how he elects to live his life, or how life has elected to take him. And I wish that I still had the full logs, minus the classified sections. I don't, but I believe that it's fairly clear to anybody reading them that it was an interaction between someone that perceived another individual as a friend and an individual who was trying to figure out what the hell to do.
All right, we're very low on time. I'd like to have one last audience member, and then if you guys have any final words, but we don't want to run over. Final question.
Very quick. Adrian, you've had a lot of people put a lot of actions that you are not responsible for on your plate in terms of U.S. foreign policy, in terms of our perception in the world and things the United States has been done bad. People sort of put that on you. Why do you feel that suddenly all of these things, you sort of said before that it's easy for somebody to go, yeah, murder's bad. At its core, what do you think is going on? Why is it that all these U.S. policy things and everything are getting attributed to your actions and those things are getting connected? Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but it's hard for me to speak to simply because I, again, can't see what these people see from where they're standing, and I obviously respect their right to have an opinion. I haven't told anybody to shut the heck up when they have elected to disagree with me, but
along those lines, I would say one thing is that anyone who, particularly from a podium, says that they believe in peace and freedom and justice and whatnot, and in the identities of people, be it people who are foreign throughout the world, trying to say that someone should not have an identity and they should have their name taken away and that they should not be recognized as a human being because you disagree with their actions is actually just as bad.
All right. Evelyn, you're going to have the final question. Please make it fast because Weed is coming up next and he has a skillet, I believe.
My quick question is when you decided to inform against Manning, why did you have to go to the media? Why didn't you just do it and keep it a secret and not seek any type of media exposure?
Primarily the same reason, because I support WikiLeaks, because I believe in transparency, and I believe...
No. Why didn't you just go to the law enforcement agencies and just keep it quiet and not go to Wired and tell them the story? Why did you have to go and talk to the media about this case? Why was that important to you?
Why do people here support WikiLeaks? Because they believe in the public's right to know. Why do I support WikiLeaks? Because I believe that in the majority of cases, the public has the right to know. I believe in this case, especially as much as it affects people in this room, people on the street who have never even fracking heard of it, they would have a right to know.
So they would have the right to know that about Manning's activities, so you wanted to expose Manning through the press rather than just go to law enforcement.
Ultimately, there would have been a press release regarding Manning's activities from the
arrest.
Come again?
From the arrest.
Yes, and
but that came much later. There was so much media about this, and then later he was arrested. So much media that, you know, I was just curious of why you had to go to the media and why you couldn't keep it quiet. I was just curious.
It's a good question. I went initially to a journalist who I knew to be ethical, Kevin Lee Paulson, who is known to many of you here, and I gave him background on the case. I didn't tell him, go ahead and run with this. It was only after Manning...
But why did you call him? Like, why? Why didn't you just keep it a secret?
Well, I believe that I've answered that question.
Because the public's right to know.
At least twice now. Because the public has a right to know, and especially because WikiLeaks is so intimately tied to the community that we have here and to many communities that believe in freedom of information, that they would also have a right to know, form their own decisions, if they chose to do so, establish legal defense funds, because everyone has a right to be represented to the best of their ability. And the same reason that I went to Kevin with my arrest, because I felt that as a former hacker himself, he could represent the story better than the Washington Post or the Wall Street Journal. No offense to anyone in the audience there.
All right, Guiz has very graciously allowed us a couple of minutes to go over, so he's not going to attack us with his cooking utensils just yet. So I'd like to just, the three people who are standing now, and the fourth person, you can sit down. Now, the three people, you get to ask questions really quickly, no one else. We have to end this at some point. I know we're all having such fun here. So 1, 2, and 3, try to make it quick, and Adrian also.
You speak about supporting WikiLeaks and transparency, and this is the first time that we might have had actual transparency into what the Army was doing, and current transparency that might have changed the policy, that might have ended the war, saved lives over there in Iraq, and brought back the lives of those people that would be involved in those missions. So you say you're trying to prevent them from dying. This is the best way to do it. So why
I have to disagree in strong possible terms. I don't believe that there is anything that Mr. Manning released that would have resulted in troops pulling out of Iraq, pulling out of Afghanistan, in our intervention overseas ending in any way. It may have caused change, but it would not have been positive change in my estimation.
Okay, we have room for 2 more. I see more than 2 people standing, so if your number is higher than 2, please do not stand. Person number 1, go ahead.
I was just wondering, I saw in an article that you were diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome when you were 29, and I know a lot of people in the community have that, including me. I was just wondering what your experience was with that. I know it's kind of a little unrelated.
I'll be brief because that's a little bit off topic, but it was eye-opening for me. I didn't really understand to some extent why I approached the world as much as I did, why I suffered from anxiety as much as I did, and talking to qualified medical professionals about it was very helpful. I feel a lot better about my life now than I did before I had a real proper diagnosis.